Hey, I'm Josh Miller, Chief Product Officer at 5x5. Thanks for joining us. At 5x5, we live in this weird intersection between what's going on with all of our different clients. And so, because of that view, we can see so many trends start. Like, what are the three trends that we're seeing across all our industries? And I've got Shannon Litton here with me, our president, and I'd love to hear you talk about it just a little bit.
It is a weird reset time, isn't it? We actually were at a conference a couple of weeks ago, live and in person, which was amazing. We got to see people and shake hands. Kind of weird to do that now, but
There were some hugs given. I'm just saying. Don't judge us.
There were, but we're in this place where we are seeing, I think, across all the industries, like you mentioned, some trends, and they're actually exciting trends. I think there's some really good, positive things, but they're really things we have to stop and think about and be intentional. The first one is that large projects that were put on the back burner last year, they're back, and not only are they important, they're probably important last year. Now they're more urgent than ever because we're delayed, and there's so much of that delay, I think. So for us, that's things like big website rebuilds and rebranding projects. Once COVID hit, and we realized we were in the middle of a global pandemic, we pushed pause on all those things, probably for a lot of reasons. Our resources went elsewhere, budgets got frozen, but they're back. And so we're seeing those coming back. So I think it's very important to be intentional about what did we push pause on? What if it was that important in February 2020, should it still be important today? And maybe the answer is no. But if it's yes, what do we do to get those things moving again?
Well, the cool thing is that people are still valuing strategy. So even though they're trying to get those things moving, like they're still taking time to get it right and to understand the plan they had in February of 2020 isn't the same plan that they need today. And so we kind of have to go back to the drawing board and build these projects from scratch.
Yeah. So big projects are coming back furiously across all industries. We're seeing that happen. The second thing I would say is that ROI matters, which is kind of dumb to say because it always has to some extent, or it always should have. I think it matters in a new way. And I actually think that's a really exciting thing. Some of us may have had grandmothers and grandfathers that lived through the Great Depression, right? And they saved everything. I don't know how many jars of leftovers, and they wouldn't throw anything away. And so much of that psychologically goes back to having lived through the Great Depression. I think we got a different but interesting kind of take on that with this pandemic. We shut everything down for a while, literally and figuratively. And so I think as we come out of it, even though we're ready to do big projects and we're ready to get budgets going again and invest, we're really looking at everything through a different lens. It's kind of that Great Depression era thinking. And so everybody's coming in saying, but why does this matter? And that's so exciting to me. From a strategic mindset, everything we do and that we put not only dollars into, but our time into should have some type of ROI associated with it.
Yeah, and just the appetite for attribution is so huge.
Right.
Like people are willing to put in the work to get to the real numbers instead of stopping at clicks or stopping at leads or stopping somewhere along the way, because a lot of times it is a fight to get to those real numbers.
Yeah, that's a great point. And then finally, I would just say innovation is no longer a luxury. There was a time where, we kind of just went status quo, and then something happened. We know what happened last year, and we all innovated in some way. I also believe some of us called our pivots and our tweaks to our model innovation, and they weren't true innovation. But innovation is not a luxury anymore. For a couple of reasons. The first one is we have to ask ourselves the question, is the pivot permanent? So we did all these things. It was amazing how quickly we pivoted, right? We had clients launching things in weeks that would have taken years of committee meetings prior to a pandemic. And so we've got to ask ourselves, is the decision that we made in the middle of last year still relevant today? Because what happens is we have all these little hanger-oner things, right? That, we were doing it this way, but then we also do this digital version. And maybe we did something that was amazing and changed the future of our organization. Great. How do we make it even better than we could make it in a few weeks? But maybe we did something that was timely and was really effective for last year, but it shouldn't be sucking up our resources this year. So we've got to ask that question. Also, I would just say, leaders, there's never been a better opportunity to create a culture of innovation in our organizations. People were open to innovation last year out of great fear, right? So people that never wanted, I don't want anything to change, I want it to be the same, all of a sudden, whatever it takes, because I want us to be here tomorrow. So we either now go back to that old way of thinking, or we continue to foster and figure out how do we build a culture of innovation so that we can constantly change, not just when we're pressured by outside forces, but change and innovate in a way that makes us more effective every day.
Yeah, innovation change is such a muscle.
Right.
And so
Great
the
point.
fact that even out of fear, some people started to exercise that muscle gives you that opportunity to capitalize on that and continue
the workouts.
To move forward. Like, nobody's ever been scared into exercise around here. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm sure you've seen things. We love to see it or hear about it in the comments. How have you seen organizations change or innovate, or what trends are you seeing with your clients or organization? Thanks.